Okay, let's look at the queen, because in addition to repairing your other pieces, this is going to be another, the one we want to add this week, just the queen. And so if we were to look at this here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're going to go with 9 um, parts of the queen's crown sticking out. And so that gives us the same sort of math issue once again. And I've gone with 18 rotational subdivisions. And so let's around. Um, there. Great. Okay, so now we can sort of see where we're at. And we can start here in that this is just the top, the other parts, I mean, and just sort of focusing on this part, you would probably want to do the same kind of screw modifier workflow up until this point, but let's see how all of this could work when we make it editable with the right amount of geometry here, knowing that, again, this will have a subdue surface modifier on it at the end of the day. And so I'll throw that on there and just disable it for now, because the one thing we want to do is have this, we'll adjust some of this. So if we look at this here, I just want to grab some of every other one. We can do this. Select. I mean, to be honest, I would do this. Just select each one, every other one. But if you wanted to do it the procedural way, which we should just know about, select, select, selection. There we go. And that gives us what we would want, all of them. And then select Becker deselect, gives us every other one. Okay, so when you have to look up the commands, it's a little bit slower, but you get the idea. You could also just select every other one by hand. And here we're going to end up with our 9 parts of the crown. Let's look at it from the top here. Let's scale these in to give us our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, not symmetrical. And that's giving us a very pointy rendition of this, but it's a good starting point. Top. That to start. And then let's turn this back on to sort of see what will be happening there. So you can see where we're going with this. And so now let's look at it from the side here and we get to go to G. It's down. I'll probably hold down Control so we don't shift it around. Break down. That's good. We may want to come back to this selection later. So if we right click on it, we can save this. Just did this the other day. Text group. This is indent. Space there. Great. And let's grab the other ones here. See, here I'll just do it slow way. That's a new one here. So between version. So we can get back to those if we need to. If we look at the top or over here again, we could scale these out to start to create more of what we want. And we see what's going on. We definitely want to pull some of those. And so what we need here is edge crease, right? And so come back and let's reselect these. So come back over here to data, extrusion, select. There we go. And we'll right click and go to edge crease, Shift E, and click. And then here you can see we can sharpen up the way that the subdivision surface modifier works with that part of the mesh. So I don't want to crank it the whole way, partially, as a way to make that sharper, and I can do the same thing to the other side. Select it. When you're using the subdue surface, it's a little bit easier to select some of these. I don't think I properly set this vertex group, right? So just storing these. Try to set it properly. And now we can do the same thing and to control the way it comes in over here. So I'll turn it back on, and again, right click, edge crease. This is a little confusing. There we go. Start pulling it in this way. Sharpen up inside, and this is where I'm doing some more subdivision surface modeling. I may need to come in here and add some more edge loops to try and see this down. Defined crown there. So I was conservative with the amount of topology, knowing I was going to use a subdivision surface on this, and so that gives me room to add some edge loops in order to make this work a little bit better. For instance, here along the edge of the crown, Control R, click, and now I can move this down as a controlling edge to sharpen up the bottom, or sharpen up the top, or kind of control how that's happening there. That, in order to get the right kind of look, right? And so that's set at 3, 2. That looks pretty good. Gives me kind of what I'm after there. And yeah, so sharpening these up here, in addition to the interior ones, may have to be made a little bit smaller. It seems like we're getting kind of a weird crease there. Let's come back and see if we can fix that. Something like this over here. Then select, deselect everything. Let's do it once without the sub-D on. Yeah, and so I pulled that extra edge down a bunch. Let's look at this from the side. I'm going to take this and move this down perhaps a little bit. Control. And then see if we can shorten these up. And so that requires a little bit of work with our axis. So we want these individual origins so that we can scale along each thing. We scale here. It's a little bit of what we want. Let's look at the top. We want to move them out just a touch. This comes back to element, scale back out. Right, so changing that allowed me to scale, just sort of make those edges smaller there. Over, a little bit more defined area of the crown and what we're after there. Yeah, so by using, right, so there's two ways to control the subdivision surface. One is using a controlling edge like that, and like the one I put sort of here at the bottom of the crown. And then the other one here would be using the creasing. Right? And so how do I choose where to use which? The creasing here, if I added a controlling edge in this direction, it's going to disturb the quad topology of the whole thing quite a bit. Making a loop cut around the entire structure in a radial fashion doesn't disturb the quad topology at all. And so making a loop cut is pretty easy in that direction, but here on these points, it makes much more sense to use the creasing, which talks to the subdivision surface about how that's going to look at the end of the day. So yeah, there we go. How to handle this when we're going to be talking about 9 subdivisions. And when you're using the creasing, don't crank it the whole way one way or the other. You still want it to be doing some rounding. If you crank it the whole way up to 1, you'll get this straight edge there, which is not what we want. We still want a little bit of rounding there at the top. And so that gives us some control over what we're doing. So yeah, this is to consider. But the big job this week is cleaning up the other 3 pieces and then adding the queen to your workflow.